Hi everyone. I realized that with everything that's been happening recently, I have a lot of explaining to do.
Yeah, well, there's been a lot going on.
Yeah, so me and my lovely sister are here to talk about the news of Verona. Where should we start?
How about with the last video? They probably have a lot of questions.
Yeah, right. Well, Rome came back. She ran away from her grandparents to come find me and talk about everything, but basically, it's all over. I'm probably never going to see her again.
Hey, it's okay to be sad.
Yeah, well, she was in love with you too. She was in love with everybody she saw. That's not love, it's just infatuation. How can I ever really know that she was in love with me?
I think you were different.
It just doesn't seem right. How can I know that I was everything to her and that it was real? How do I know that I'm not just another girl that she came to kiss and then run away from?
If it felt real to you, then that's what matters. It was real, Juliet. Just because it didn't last doesn't mean it wasn't real.
Yeah, well, she went back to her grandparents to finish off the year, and we are graduating in almost 2 weeks. With all the drama and everything, I didn't have any time to think about it. Finals, graduation, and then 2 days after that, I'm going to leave for film school. It's all happening so fast, but at least I'm ready for it now. And it's going to be wonderful. An escape from everything. Finally, I'll have a real dream instead of just a girl who climbs through my window at 3 in the morning with cheap candy. But yeah, I'm getting off topic.
Maybe film school next?
Yeah, sure. So I actually sat down and talked to my parents after everything with Rome happened, and they were a lot more reasonable than I thought. They were pretty upset, but they're not as terrible as I've made it seem.
Just a little bit controlling at times.
Yeah. So I talked to them about film school, and they were a lot more open to the idea than I thought they would be. I guess they'd rationalized that film school is not as bad as secretly dating the daughter of our worst enemy. Yeah, well, they're not willing to pay for it, but they are going to let me go.
You can't really blame them for not paying, though, with the whole situation at the shop.
Yeah, but I have a lot of money saved up from years of working at the shop, so I'll be okay. I guess I just realized that I needed to have an actual conversation with them. I hadn't really talked to them in forever. So we had this mandatory family meeting, and then after that my mom pulled me into her room to have a real girl talk. It was just as dramatic and awful as it seems. She told me about this boyfriend that she'd had in high school. What was his name? Oh yeah, Fabien, the exchange student. Anyways, apparently he wasn't that great. Or as Mom said, Fabien n'est pas très bien. It was pretty great.
Hey, how come Mom never tells me about her old boyfriends?
Well, maybe it's because you just can't relate.
Well, I wouldn't be rude if I were you, seeing as I just started talking to you again.
Yeah, well, speaking of restarting conversations, our mom had to call Rome's mom to pick Rome up and talk about a shocking turn of events.
Yeah, no kidding.
Well, so Rome's mom gets here to pick up Rome, and it was super awkward, and they just go, "Oh, hello." And then my mom had to explain the whole thing to Rome's mom, and she was just as horrified as our mom. And it was kind of hilarious because they were actually agreeing on something for once and had no idea what to do. Mrs. Montague ended up sending Rome out to the car so she could stay and sort things out.
I'm pretty sure they stood there for an entire minute before either of them spoke again.
And then our mom was like, "So, how's the weather?" And she replied, "It's fine."
And then they both just burst out laughing. I had to try so hard not to laugh because, well, they didn't know I was spying on them.
I was not laughing. I thought Mom was going to kill me.
Understandable.
Yeah, but fast forward an hour, they were talking like old friends.
Okay, it was pretty sweet.
Yeah, but they both realized that they couldn't drink tea or coffee, so they kind of just sat there awkwardly.
And then Juliet was a genius.
I can't take all the credit for the idea.
Well, anyways, Juliet gets up and she decides to make hot chocolate for everyone.
Yeah.
It was perfect.
So, after talking for a while, it turned out that they had more in common than they had originally thought. They both agreed that Rome and I were terrible for each other, which I don't completely agree with, but I get their point. When I started dating her, I also started pushing people away.
I don't think you are anymore. You've been doing a good job of fixing things.
Well, there's still Angie.
I think it'll get better with time.
She still hasn't talked to me.
I know, but I think she'll realize that she doesn't want to lose you either.
Thanks, Rose. But wait, we haven't finished our story.
Yes, so eventually she left and Dad came home that night and after dinner they had a private conversation.
Obviously it wasn't that private because we couldn't help but listen in.
And so they started talking about how maybe the Montagues aren't all that bad.
And apparently the Montagues thought the same thing about us. Because when my mom went over to apologize...
With flowers.
Yeah, she bought apology flowers. Well, when she got there, Mrs. Montague offered her chocolate, and then our mom invited the Montagues over for dinner. Well, not Rome, she's already gone, but the rest of them.
That was certainly interesting. I think they were here until 10 o'clock that night.
Yeah, at least. We certainly got to know Beth pretty well. She's interesting.
She's sweet and harmless.
Definitely. I can see how she's related to Rome.
So eventually, talk turned into business. Not in the feudy way, but...
I think everybody in our town realizes that none of the businesses are doing all that well. I think they understand that there aren't enough people in our small town to support both of us.
It's part of the reason why the feud started in the first place.
Exactly.
And anyone who has any sense and isn't loyal to one of the shops thinks that we should just collaborate. And they started talking about it.
I don't think they were very open to the idea at first, but it definitely grew on everyone.
Well, the alternative is just having both of the shops close.
Yeah, that's definitely a good motivator.
It's just been getting worse. Mom and Dad are stressed out all the time.
Yeah, I think if this happens, it would be a really good thing.
Oh, so they were talking about opening a hot chocolate shop. And at first it was just silly, but they ended up getting really serious. And I think if all remains well, it'll actually happen.
And obviously they don't have all the details sorted out yet, but they think they're gonna sell food and drinks from both of the shops and have the main thing be hot chocolate. We'll only have to pay one utility bill and one rent bill.
I think it's a great idea.
Me too.
So, looks like you and Rome helped out in the end.
Yeah, that's true.
Now we just need to come up with a name.
Well, I'm sure our artsy and dramatic friends, the Montagues, will help us out with that.
Yes. I can't believe that peace has finally come out of all of this.
Yeah, it's kind of ironic that me and Rome breaking up was really what brought peace to our families. Peace between all the Capulets and the Montagues, except for Rome and I.
It really is better in the long run.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I think we should stop filming. These videos just don't seem the same anymore.
Let's go watch a movie, Jules.